Hello, welcome to episode 4 of Gods and Monsters by E. E. King, read by me, E. E. King. Gods and Monsters is being serialized once weekly on MetaStellar, so please listen or read. And now, episode 4. Last week, we met Gabrielle, a vampire hybrid who has a supernatural talent for fixing objects, although the refurbished items seem cursed. And we met River, the boy who discovered Gabrielle and is forever haunted by that image of a silent white infant cradled in the arms of a charred body. River has a rare talent for healing animals. And now, episode 4, chapter 8, Gabrielle, San Francisco, 1986, The Tenderloin. Gabrielle hitches his way to San Francisco. Truckers, desperate for company, or lonely men drawn by his shining beauty, pull over and throw their doors open wide. But after only a few miles, they turn off into small towns, muttering about relatives to visit or business to attend to. Some wait in roadside diners for hours before sneaking back to their cars. They take small dirt roads, adding days to their trip in order to avoid Gabrielle's bloodless presence and bottomless eyes. Gabrielle arrives in San Francisco at dusk. He's dropped off in the Tenderloin by a man desperate to be rid of him. Gabrielle's presence in his car is like the scent of mortality. In the twilight, large red and neon breasts flash from dirty bars igniting the night. Giant muscled men guard dark curtained doorways. The Tenderloin has always been a rough neighborhood, hot with neon and prostitutes. It gets its name from police captain Alexander S. Williams, who said, "On a policeman's salary, I can only afford chuck steak, but after transfer here, I make so much in bribes, I eat tenderloin every night." Most of the buildings contain single occupancy hotels and studio apartments. After the Vietnam War, refugees from Southeast Asia, Chinese from Vietnam, Khmer from Cambodia, and Trung from Laos moved in. Studio apartments became vertical villages, overflowing with entire extended families. Asian restaurants, Vietnamese sandwich shops, and ethnic grocery stores blossomed, but the strip clubs remained. Gabriel, of course, knows nothing of this. If he had, he wouldn't have cared. He stands beneath the yellow and red glow of Club Vamp, lit like a Halloween tree. Frankie, Club Vamp's manager, is in a hole. His current bouncer, Lou, has just staggered off the job. Lou had gotten soused and punched out a patron who'd been making eyes at a waitress that Lou fancied. Despite Gabrielle's spare frame, despite the fact that Gabrielle has no resume, no work history, not even an address or a telephone number, Frankie hires him on the spot. Gabrielle doesn't look like someone who would ever get drunk or lose his head over a girl. He doesn't look like a fighter, nor does he look like a bouncer. He is lean and aesthetic. Yet despite his leanness, Gabrielle radiates menace. Frankie thinks this is good. It's not. Prospective clients looking into Gabrielle's fathomless indigo eyes bring no trouble and no business. They skirt the doorway of the Vamp, trying to avoid Gabrielle's gaze. Frankie's in a bind. He doesn't want to lose business, nor does he fancy firing Gabrielle. He fears the space that seems to fall away into forever behind those eyes. One night, a DJ doesn't show. "Hey," says Frankie, smiling, his eyes moving side to side, searching for escape. "How'd you like to try your hand at DJing tonight?" He reaches up to pat Gabrielle on the back, but stops. His hand remains flat in space, as if he's miming a wall. He knows putting Gabriel in the booth's a stupid thing to do. He knows that if Gabriel breaks his equipment, he can't afford to buy more. But he must, if only for a moment, get away from those bottomless eyes. It turns out to be a perfect solution. Behind the glass, Gabriel's no more visible than a dream, and Gabriel spins discs as naturally as breath. In fact, under Gabriel's fingers, the ancient stereo that has always skipped and sputtered skims smooth as a bird over water. The Vamp is loud, and its patrons drunk. So perhaps it's not surprising that no one realizes the songs are all slightly slow. The customers don't connect the melodies that begin to haunt their dreams with the background noise that accompanies their nightly binges. Pop tunes so distorted by tempo, so twisted by harmonies as to be unrecognizable. They are the soundtrack to nightmare. Chapter 9, River, Healdsburg, 1976. Ebony Angel. Sometimes River finds a baby squirrel, possum, or crow that he nurtures. Some of the babies live, most don't. River releases the survivors into the woods. One of the crows, though fully fledged, refuses to leave. He returns each night to River's window, pecking on the glass and crowing loudly until River lets him in. When River sleeps, the crow rests on his head. River's awakened by needle claws digging into his head and dark green and white guano oozing thickly down his face. Cursing softly, River lines a cardboard box with twigs, hair from his comb, old socks, and sets it on the window ledge. River names the crow Huck. Now, when River wanders the woods looking for mushrooms or animals, Huck flies above him or perches on his shoulder. They are constant companions. In fact, Huck is River's only companion. River has no friends and rarely dates, although due to a detachment as alluring as the memory of a lover's embrace, he's desired. He's unaware of how many girls watch him, how many dreams he's starred in, or how many hearts he's broken. Huck often follows River to school or work, flying low, searching the ground for food and shiny objects. Huck is particularly fond of silver. Silver coins, silver wrappers, even the tiny silver minnows sold at Chip and Bill's Bait and Tackle. Sometimes they leap from a careless fisherman's pail and lie twisting on the ground like fractured sunbeams, beckoning to Huck. River buries the fish in the garden, letting their frail bones nourish his vegetables. That year, the marigolds that River plants in between his crops to ward off pets, and which have always blossomed large and orange as a setting sun, have a silvery gleam to them. His green summer squash grow bigger than ever, glinting like stars in a moonless night. The squash are delicious, even raw, and melt like candy in River's mouth. They are so sweet that Alma, who's begun to avoid the kitchen, makes a soup from the last of them. But when cooked, they turn bitter and tough, tasting of vinegar and resentment. Huck also scavenges at school. Many a misplaced ring or dropped coin ends up tucked into the nest box. River always tries to return the jewelry, which gains him even more secret admirers. His brooding good looks, strength, and faraway air have always made girls sigh. And when River, Huck, perched on his shoulder like a noisy ebony angel, presses a missing earring or lost necklace into outstretched hands, the girls are spellbound. More than one keeps a secretly snapped photo of River beside her bed. Huck objects to the division of his treasures, cawing and hopping about, flapping his glossy wings in disgust. I know, boy, you think finders keepers, but trust me, you'll get more treats out of girls if you give them jewelry. And it's true. Many a girl happily divides her lunch with Huck in hopes of garnering favor with his master. River, to make amends for stealing Huck's stolen treasures, lets Huck keep his wrappers and coins. Sometimes he even contributes a stray dime to Huck's hoard. Join us next week on Gods and Monsters. His spinal column is completely shattered. His EEG is flat. No brain activity at all. Wait, Christian calls. That's not true. I can think, I can talk, I'm fine. But the words might as well be echoes in the wind. The doctors turn to go. Wait, Christian screams. I'm in here. Come back. Next week on Gods and Monsters. See you then.